Don't worry, we brought enough clips to annoy everybody. It's Todd Friel, boing! And I with my levitational power. So if you're here today and you thought, I can't be forgiven, I'm too bad of a sinner, you don't know how good of a Savior Jesus is. No matter who you are, no matter what you have done, where sin did abound, grace abounds that much more. Hello, and welcome to Wretched. My name is Todd Friel. I am your host, the wretch the song refers to. Please be patient and wait your turn. There's almost certainly something in here that will annoy you, so just be patient. All right, Adrian, you get to pick what's going to annoy us first. All right, yeah, this ought to do the trick right here. Now, please note, we're not, okay, we kind of are, but not in the way that typically people make fun of millennials. Gotta confess, I do not like a lot of the parodies, the satires, the name calling of the millennial generation, that they are snowflakes. I don't think they are. I think they have been trained. Their worldview says, be nice. Don't do anything that might offend anybody. So I don't think the pejorative term snowflakes really helps us as Christians to try to, win them to the Lord. Having said that, there are some characteristics of this particular generation that do indeed stand out. And so I would like to share this clip with you, understanding if you're a millennial, we're not making fun of you the way people typically do. We're making fun of you in a new kind of way. Furthermore, I showed this clip to my millennial children, and they all agreed, yeah, that's kind of accurate, Dad.
Amy, it says you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No.
PowerPoint?
No.
Publisher?
Not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter. You know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
It's true. Facebook tends to be for fuddy-duddies, apparently. What can we learn from this satire? Well, millennials are into technology. There's no question about it. They've been involved in inventing it, and they certainly have mastered it, and they tend to rely on it. They have been taught early on, just Google it. Use a calculator. You don't need to learn stuff. Is there anything that we can learn about them from this satirical piece to help us win them?
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
Siri, tell me this, Siri, find me that. We're all good getting you the answers.
Tell Siri, I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
What you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8 like in the morning 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah. That kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pump skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot, but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Does she represent every millennial? No, not every millennial, but it does tend to be a distinctive that rising and shining isn't exactly a forte.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Why are you so negative? I can sense your hostilities, and right now I am not feeling very safe. I've been here for over 5 minutes, and the only nice thing you have said to me was nice resume, which I typed all night for this meeting with you. You've given me no guidance, no validation, no encouragement, no supervision. Is there an HR director somewhere?
HR director?
Yes, I need to speak to someone. I may have to take off today as a mental health day.
Take the day off. Amy, look at me. You don't work here.
Are you firing me?
Okay, yes.
Permit me. I didn't know Ken Ham was making satirical videos. Permit me to share with you, I believe, 3 things we can take away from that satire. Number 1, technology. Can we reach this generation in traditional ways? Well, some yes, some no. About half of millennials don't even own a television. Cable is like, what's that? They can be reached electronically if we know the platforms and the mediums. In other words, we need to be tech savvy if we are going to reach half of this particular generation. I wonder if enough ministries are focusing on that. By the way, this is a complete sneak peek. We're going to be, because we currently are working on that behind the scenes. More on that later. Number 2, being nice is a hallmark of millennials. Now, we all understand that that can go too far, the sensitivity training, being triggered, but let's learn something from that, shall we? We need to be especially mindful to speak truth in love to the millennials. I've recently heard it said, well, actually by a lot of people, because it went out on the Twitterosphere, if you can't speak the truth in love, do God a favor and don't speak at all. Do we become sappy sentimentalists? No. Do we water down the truth? No. But if we talk to this generation and they perceive that we're not being loving, then we are committing a grave millennial crime. Number 3, when we understand that these millennial generation people, I was going to say kids, when these millennials, they need to hear things spoken all sensitively and softened with the caveat, it's simply a perspective and not a belief. We might be inclined to think, wow, how am I going to talk to them about Christianity and Jesus being the way, the truth, the life? This might sound a bit counterintuitive considering point number 2, but I would like to suggest to you these millennial generation people, I almost did it again. They're longing for somebody to lovingly say, this is the truth. Let's not be put off by the doctrine of niceness of the millennial generation. Let's not be so controlled by sensitivity to postmodernism that we feel like we've got to couch everything so much so as not to offend. No, we speak truth in love. But that truth part, I'm telling you, it resonates with this generation. When somebody hears, I want to lovingly tell you there is one God, and this is what this one God is like. And this is the one way to be reconciled to this God. It rings for them because they don't typically hear people talking like that. Is this generation different? Certainly. Isn't every generation really different? I mean, the world system has different messages to each cultural generation. And so this one is no different. Let's be mindful of how these millennials think, how they've been indoctrinated, what they expect, what turns them off, and what they might, even though they might not admit it, be looking for, which is the truth. And we've got it in spades. So let's find those millennials electronically out on the campuses and speak truth in love to them. More annoyances next on Wretched. Not to be a squeaky wheel, but permit me to be a bit of a squeaky wheel. Would you please consider supporting Wretched with your ongoing monthly financial tax-deductible support so that we can continue not just doing this, what you see on TV. We do an hour of radio every day on 550 radio stations. We're writing books, we're writing resources, we visit campuses. Would you please support our effort to reach the lost, equip the saints, and strengthen the local church? Thank you to everybody who currently is. We are very grateful. If and you can not rob from your local church, support this here ministry. Would you please visit wretched.org/donate, wretched.org/donate. Before we play the next clip that will almost certainly annoy you, do you mind if I annoy you? Welcome back to Wretched. Permit me to make an observation. I don't think that anybody else has offered this thesis, this explanation why we are seeing a millennial generation that is so attracted to a seeker-sensitive, New Apostolic Reformation experience where they will attend a church and get lost in 17-minute worship songs. The lights are dimmed, a lot of mood music, feeling, and most certainly emotive storytelling preaching. I've been thinking a lot lately, why is it that the fastest growing movement in Christianity right now across the globe is an experiential, feelings-based sort of Christianity? Here's my thesis. See if you agree with this or not. Have you heard about the tiny house movement? What is the slogan that is attached to the idea of living basically in a house that's smaller than this corner? The whole idea is just get a little tiny house so that you can live more, so that you can enjoy life. It is not about subduing a piece of land, working hard to get stuff so that you can enjoy God's creation. No, the little house movement is just get this little tiny thing so you don't need to deal with all of that stuff, so you can basically just have a good time. Have you seen the investment commercial lately? Give us your money, I'm paraphrasing, give us your money and you can live more. Now, it's kind of a ridiculous sort of ad, but it's speaking to the heart of a generation. Forget the fact that you've got to assemble and acquire that money to give to an investor so that you can go out and live more. But listen to the message. Well, what string is it plucking in the hearts of a millennial generation? I don't want to be working as hard. I don't want to be struggling and straining. I don't want to be tied to a job, to a desk, to a 9-to-5, or certainly to a home with a lot of chores. That message, I think, pervades an entire new generation. Instead of the biblical perspective of we are God's image bearers, we've been put on this planet to steward it. Now get to work. There's going to be toil, there's going to be tears, but God is a working God. We work. Remember, there was work before the fall. We will be working in heaven, and we're supposed to be working now. And there's a great deal of reward and satisfaction in completing a task. Why? Because when we work and accomplish something, we're acting like image bearers. Not so this generation. The whole subduing, working hard, nope, it's more about relaxing, enjoying, and experiencing. Isn't that precisely what the seeker-sensitive and the New Apostolic Reformation movement are all about? Don't mortify sin. This whole sanctification business, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. No. Forget hard studying. Forget soul searching. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We'll dim the lights, we'll set the mood, and you can simply feel the faith. Is it possible that these two concepts are working in tandem with one another? The world continues to tell this generation not hard work, enjoyment, feelings, emotions, and the aberrant stream of Christianity is tapping into that. No longer is the Christian faith about diligent studying, catechizing, memorizing the Word of God, straining toward the finish line like an athlete who's preparing for a long run. No, don't need to do that. Just come as you are, relax, and feel the faith. That is my premise. Not so sure that it's... Before you pick the annoying clip, what do you think? Huh?
I like it. We live in a handout culture, right?
That's a
In
part of it
general.
too, sure.
So that shows itself also in our religion. It's like, I want to come and experience. I don't really want to work. I want you to give me a handout of that. We see it applied a lot of different places.
We see it in worship too.
Yes.
The worship music is for me. It's not for me to come and sing whether I like the tune or not for God.
Right.
It's do I like the worship?
Yeah, or pastors who buy their sermons online.
No, I don't know who you are talking about. All righty,
Have a clip of them here.
You never know. Let's get to our next. This actually goes beyond annoying. There was a group of folks out on a university campus. They were talking about the life issue. Listen very carefully to this young man explain why it's okay for us to kill a 2-year-old.
And I gave you the example of the last student we talked to who said it was okay up until 2, and
I'll buy that.
you think that's
The fact of
reasonable
the
up
matter
until 2?
is, if without communication, we have no way of knowing if you're sentient or not. I mean, it's no different than this tree. It's alive, but is it sentient? I don't know. I cannot communicate to it.
I mean, to compare with a 2-year-old is kind of tough. I mean, just being the tree 2-year-old analogy.
Can the 2-year-old talk to me? Can the 2-year-old talk to me? In some instances, I'm fairly certain that is. But generally speaking, the child still have the inability to communicate. And until we determined as such at what point does sentience become an issue, we can't really debate on whether or not that is the situation or not.
That's troubling. This is a young man who has been given some sort of line. Somebody has indoctrinated him to believe that the only thing that makes us human is communication. So that would mean if I put a piece of duct tape over his mouth and he could not speak, articulate words, that would mean we could kill him. Ridiculous? Of course it is. When we return, more, and that was disturbing, clips next on Wretched. Please meet Igor and Lena, who were such horrific alcoholics that the Ukrainian government took away their 2 youngest children to put them into an orphanage, but something happened. One of their other children went to a Tomorrow Club, heard the gospel, got saved, went home, mom got saved, then dad got saved, then the government gave them back their children. Would you like to write a story like that? You can by supporting your very own Tomorrow Club. Visit tomorrowclubs.org/wretched.
Perhaps you don't share your faith because you fear getting tongue-tied, or you fear you won't know the answer to someone's question. Good news, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Take the Big Toe Challenge. Purchase 12 or 52 copies of our new evangelistic booklet, Don't Stub Your Toe, and simply leave a copy on the table when you leave the restaurant, or give it to the drive-thru attendant. It is just that easy. Take the Big Toe Challenge at wretched.org.
Before we get to our next annoying clip, let's just talk to somebody who is annoyed. Welcome back to Wretched. Adrian, the fellow in that last clip, stating it's okay to kill a 2-year-old child because that child can't communicate. You happen to be an expert on 2-year-olds because you got one.
I do.
And clearly, that kid can't communicate.
I have no idea.
How does that thing stay alive? He can't communicate needs for food or going to the potty. It's just
Only
a
since he was
miracle.
born.
Right, okay, but
Yeah.
a little 2-year-old in a crib,
Yeah.
or 2-week-old in a crib. They can't use the English language,
That
so they
is
don't communicate.
True. Right. Just like that guy can't use the Spanish language, and if I only understood Spanish, well, it's okay to kill him because he doesn't speak my language. He can't communicate.
Okay, no matter how you slice that fellow's defense of infanticide, it can be broken down with about 2 seconds of thought. That's why that clip was more than annoying. That was downright frightening. By the way, this would be a good opportunity to encourage you to get Life is Best. I'm telling you, it is still the Bomb Diggity series. I think it is the finest pro-life apologetics and gospel-centered series that there is. 13 episodes. It will equip you to immediately hear that and go, oh, no, young man, Let me tell you why you're confused. Life is not valued based on communication skills. Besides, as soon as we go down that road, how many vocables does the child need to know? 7,700. IQ, what does the level need to be? Who's setting these arbitrary standards? What Life is Best will teach you to do is recognize, first of all, God sets the standard. Second of all, life is precious because it's human life. It's not a chair or a book. It is a human being. Therefore, it has value. Therefore, we can't kill it. Get Life is Best at Wretched.org. All righty, Adrian. Now here's your chance to pick our next annoying...
Oh no.
And to make a mess. Which one was it anyway? They're all annoying, so here we go. This one isn't annoying. This one is just downright sad. This is a girl who thinks this is a young person who's very confused.
The single most common question I get asked is, are you a boy or are you a girl? The simple answer is no. But then the response after that is usually a very confused, what? So here is the explanation. I am non-binary, and that means I identify as something other than male or female. Our society and history has led us to believe over thousands of years that there are only people who are male and people who are female. But that is because past society has based gender on physical sex.
Let me see what it is, nurse. Ah, yes, what a strapping young lad.
It's outdated. The truth is that gender is in the brain, and physical sex is a completely separate and different thing that is private to every individual. What people really mean when they're asking the boy or girl question is creepily, so, what genitals do you have? People need to realize it doesn't matter what living meat skeleton you've been born in, it's what you feel that defines you. Non-binary is a blanket term for anyone who identifies out with the binary gender. There are endless ways of being non-binary, and no two people identify in the same way. So just remember, gender is what you feel, not what your parts are. Don't be afraid to be yourself.
There are 3 ways that you and I can respond to that very tragic satire. Number 1, we can respond with our own satire. If I believe I'm Elvis, does that mean I'm going to be selling out Madison Square Garden this weekend and doing a medley of Don't Be Cruel, You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog in Jailhouse Rock while women swoon? No, because I can't determine what I am just because I feel like it. Should we use parody, satire to parody their beliefs? I think carefully, sensitively, if it's not delivered like, aha, zing, gotcha. Why? Because we're dealing about a very sensitive issue here. Sexuality, it's deep and it's profound. Try to imagine it like this. If somebody came to you and said, you know those children that you have? Well, they're just wrong and you have to kill them. You have to stop loving them. You'd go, you're out of your mind. And that's how somebody with a confused understanding of their sex feels. It's like, what, you're telling me I gotta change? No way. So yeah, we can use that type of presentation, but let's do it like we're trying to help them understand the flaw in their thinking and not just to simply mock what they're thinking. Number 2, we can use science. Who determines what is a pink or a blue? Well, science tells us that there is a difference between a boy and a girl because there is a difference in our DNA, in our chromosomes, and the number of distinctives between boys and girls. So it's not just external presentation, it's internal makeup, but we should only use science carefully. Why? Because science doesn't determine what is a boy and a girl. Science simply supports what has been determined already is a boy or a girl, and that brings us to response number 1. God made them male and female. Let us punch a hole in their argument using a little bit of satire sensitively and thoughtfully and not in an exaggerated bing kind of way. Let us use science to support what the Bible says is true. The answer, Ken Ham is right again, is in Genesis. God made them male and female. Carefully expose the flaw in their worldview. Carefully use science. But that isn't our big aha, gotcha. No, the number one response that we should have to confused people like this is, God made you. He knit you together in your mother's womb, and while there are abnormalities, we do not write rules based on the exception. They are simply that, abnormalities. You are either a boy or a girl because God has spoken. Surprise! Next on Wretched. So, what's the difference between preborn and other women's health centers?
Whatever I was going through, they would go back to the Bible and say, look, well, this is not something new. This has been going on for years. And I was really shocked because the previous pregnancy center that I had went to, they didn't really try to, express anything about Christ and the Bible to me at all. So I still was out there wandering as a lost soul. And it terrifies me now that I know the truth, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I was on the road, to being damned. And nobody wants to go down that road.
Unlike other women's health centers, preborn, free ultrasounds to save the baby and preaching the gospel to save the mommy. How would you like to support a ministry like that? Visit preborn.org. Welcome back to a Wretched sort of surprise, because I saw this one when it actually happened. The quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, after their extraordinary victory over, the other team that they were playing. Wow, how fleeting is fame. The quarterback gave this, what I thought was seriously the best testimony I've ever heard on TV.
I have no words. You asked me about this moment. What this moment's meant to me is probably going to go down as the third best moment of my life, behind giving my life to Jesus Christ, marrying my wife, and this one's right there close.
Wow, this was the third best moment of my life. Second, marrying my wife. Number one, when I gave my life to Jesus Christ. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great when somebody on TV goes, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but I wonder if the world hears that and goes, so basically Christianity is about a God who helps you win a football game. That still say it if you want to. This I thought was extraordinary because he made it so clear. Jesus is better than winning a really important football game. The culmination of my life is not victory on a field. It is surrendering to King Jesus. Well done, sir. Let's see who won something, shall we? Congrats to Cynthia Hunter. Expository Apologetics. You could win too. How? Subscribe to the free Wretched newsletter at wretched.org. And until tomorrow, go serve your King.
Thank you for watching Wretched TV, a ministry that relies fully on your generous support. Your monthly tax-deductible gift allows us to continue preaching the amazing gospel. Wretched, amazing grace.